Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, fellow coders, let's get into this next one. Now, in this one, as promised, I will be getting into how to externalize these variables. And as luck would have it, it's almost as if fate was shining upon me. I happened to be going through my email inbox, and I noticed had emails from Slack that had said, hey, we noticed that you have publicly or made publicly available on something like GitHub a private token, right? A token that should not be made public. So we have gone ahead and shut it down for you. So that explains why in a previous video, all of a sudden, this stopped working. So I'm assuming if I go now to my Slackbot test and I try to run this method, it won't work, right? It'll say that it pushes or publishes or whatever. So it says, boom, message is sent. I look up above my screen in Slack, nothing is happening. There's no message that was posted. So that explains that. Now, remember, I don't know if you remember I was saying, like, well, that's weird. I've never seen that happen before. It's because you shouldn't publicly post these keys, right? These, where was it? Anyway, you get the idea. So the fix, this guy, you shouldn't publicly post this. So the fix is to externalize it, which just happens to be what we're talking about right now. So I don't know how that happens, but there you go. It all works out sometimes. So how do you do that? Well, or how do you do this? The first thing is we need to pull this in from some external spot, right? Now, normally you might put it in something like the application properties file. So in the application property file, you'd put in, whatever, the, Slack dot, I don't know, bot dot token equals blah, blah, blah. However, this is also going to be published to your repository, right? You check in your application properties file. So this doesn't solve the problem. It'll still be visible if you have a public repository. Now, if you have a private repository, it's a little different. It's a little bit safer. But it's still, you're checking in something that is maybe potentially sensitive information. So let's say if you are a lead developer or the owner of the whole system or something, you're the architect of the whole system, and you just don't want all your developers to have access to sensitive information that can be used in something like the production environment, right? The live environment that's live on the internet. If you want to reduce the number of heads, the head count on the people who have access to like the most sensitive information within your organization, then you don't put it in here. You put it in as like an environment variable, or even something even more secure than that. But we won't go into the even more secure options. So environment variables are the way to go. And what that looks like is, sorry, I'm still sick. In configurations, for the Course Report API integration application, this is the run configuration for it. And in the run configuration, there are program arguments. What is modify? Yeah, environment variables, which are program arguments. And then you can say expand. Yeah, so you can put arguments in here, right? Which, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's -D, capital D, and then the name, so Slack, bot, token, equals, we'll just put ABC123. So let's put that in there like that, and say, okay. And then, inside of our Slack bot, let's bring in, I guess delete this, because we don't need this anymore, because this has been deleted, so it's useless. And let's annotate this with @value, and then the @value takes a string, and it uses something called Spring Expression Language, which is $ and then bracket. And then you put the name of the key in, which was slack.bot.token. And if all goes well, it will assign it to this. Now, I don't think it can be private, and I don't think it can be static. But we'll see. So it says may not have been initialized. Initialize it. Well, that equals null. I don't know if that's the best way to do it either. So we'll see if this actually pulls something in. And so let's see. We'll put a system out here that says token is token, right? Now, you would don't do this either. Don't post the token to the log, because that's never a good thing, right? You don't want to, again, any time that you're putting a private key out there, it's never a good thing. So let's just see if this works. So for the dev environment, that's fine. But if you check this code in and it starts running in the live production environment, that's not a good situation. Now the only problem is to get this working, it has to post a message. So, how can we do this? What if I guess I could modify one of the variables or one of the contacts, or just delete the contacts. I'll just run this code, which deletes the contacts. There you go. Then it'll be forced to send Slack messages. Now, when it sends them, it won't work. Okay, so token null, token null. So this is not good, right? The token is null. It's not coming in properly. Slackbot token. Let me just go in here and make sure that I have my configuration correct. I called it slack.bot.token. Slack.bot.token. Okay. Now, I'm wondering if it's private, does that cause any problems? I just want to make it public just to test that out. And also, I don't want to make it static. Okay. Oh, and then it's not happy here. Oh, because this is static. I see. So it has to be... Yeah. Okay. Let's try that. Let's make it public, see if that makes any difference. Oop, I need to delete those rows. Quick! Delete those rows before it starts up. Okay, I deleted them. Yeah, token is still null. Okay. So, I need to do some investigating into perhaps the... okay, let me try one more thing. This is... Hey, guys, this is what developers do, right? This is the way of things when it comes to debugging issues. Developers will try something, change this, try it, change this, try it, change this, try it. It is very, very trial and error. Very rarely do we get it right on the first go around. So, okay, so it doesn't make a difference. All right, so let me do a quick Google on this, and I'll show you what my Google search was and what I found. Okay, so I think there's a few problems from what I Googled. I had to Google a few things. One was how to read environment variables, just to make sure I had the right code. And I do, it is at value, but then I noticed, oh wait, they're using it on a component, right? And because this at value thing comes from Spring, right? So if I go to my, where is it? The Slackbot, it comes from Spring. And if you look at value, right, it comes from Spring. So if my Slackbot, I remember way back when I made it not a Spring component, right? It was not a component. It was all this was all static, right? It was a public static void, and these were all static methods or static constants. So I think you have to make it a component for this to work. That's the first problem. And as soon as I did that, there was a whole bunch of errors everywhere else because we were using it in a static method or static syntax. So we have to actually bring it in. So we have to actually bring in the Slack bot instance into this method or into this service. So this dot slackbot equals slackbot, and we'll bring in slackbot. Okay, so that way we can bring the slackbot in, set it here, and then down where we're making a static reference to it, we can use the reference to the instance, which is a lowercase s. So that should solve my little problems, my compilation problems. The other problem I had, I think, in here was I was putting it in program arguments, the environment variables, but the environment variables actually go down here. Duh. So slack.bot.token equals needs to be in the environment variables, I believe, not in the program arguments. So cross your fingers, ladies and gentlemen. Let's run this program and try it again. We'll delete the file, delete the records from the database, and hopefully we'll see a token this time. And if we don't, back to the drawing board. There you go, token ABC123, right? So that's the two factors I think that went into it. So now that we have externalized that token, we actually need to put the right token in there, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. And then we can apply the same thing to any other things, like the channel ID. Maybe you don't want to publish your channel ID, so you can do the same thing there. You can externalize it. You can say at value is, Slack.channel ID or something. I don't know, whatever. And then you can grab this guy, cut it out, make this null, and then in your environment variables, you can say space, what did I say? Slack.channel ID equals. There you go. So now we've externalized the channel ID. That should be good. The API URL, well, this is publicly available information. That's not a big deal. Let's remove this token system outline because we don't want to have that there. But you get the idea, right? That's the process for externalizing any sensitive information that you wouldn't want to have published. And now if I were to integrate, regenerate the API, the bot token again, now Slack won't disable it on me because I'm not publicizing the information. So there you go. That's sort of how you externalize your variables. That's the best practice. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we need to do with this, or can I just put it into production? I guess maybe I could show you how we might launch it to production. Yeah, maybe. Oh, and then also this guy, right? This URL should be externalized because it should not be localhost anymore. It should be, the URL should be the actual live URL. So, I'll externalize this as well.